guys, and welcome back to Her Revision Podcast, the podcast for women who are rewriting the stories that they tell themselves and that the world tells them. And today I want to talk about divine timing versus biological timing. I want to talk about your divine clock. And when God says your time is your time, when God says something's supposed to end, when God says something's supposed to begin, versus biological, what humans view time as. And how if you're not careful, you'll confuse the two. You will think that there is no divine clock, that everything is perceived in human time and in biological time. So let us dive right into it, shall we? I think before I even start for real, I want to say that this has really been something that I've been battling with, because I have been telling myself that I have to make a move. I have to do the things that I said I'm going to do, because time is not on my side. I'm getting older, and let's be honest, there's certain things that I feel like I need to have accomplished prior to stages in my life that are about to happen, or new eras that I'm going to enter because I'm the age that I am. And I wanted to talk about this because I had to get myself a reality check. I had to sit myself down and allow my mind to realize that my perception is a little flawed. So time never truly stops, right? But I do think that divine timing is nothing short of supernatural. I think that divine timing is nothing short of spiritual. The way that I see it, there are two clocks. There is the biological clock. The biological clock is the one that tells you that every 365 days you're getting older. The biological clock is the one that tells you that after a certain age you need to start having kids. You need to think about marriage. After a certain age you need to think about a serious career or following your dreams, because time is running out. And we're one step closer to the grave. Biological timing, a biological clock does that. And then there is divine timing, or a divine clock. And I reference that by saying that the divine clock is the one that God gives us. It's the one that lets us know when a spiritual season is ending or beginning, whether that be isolation or reaping or harvest season or whatever the case that season may be for you. That is where God positions those type of seasons. That's where God tells you when your dream or the things that He has for you or what He wants you to pursue, that it's time to do so. That's the divine clock. That's the divine timing. It's where God positions you at the time that He wants you to. Has nothing to do with our human perception of time, right? I realize that so many of us have to find ways that encourage us and push us so that we find strength to get up and do all the things that we said we were going to do and the things that we feel like we are called to do. We have heard it all. You've heard it all. You've heard all the podcasts, even this one. You've heard all the motivational speeches and sermons or videos you may watch, TikToks you might see, Instagram Reels you might happen to come across that tells us who truly navigates that thought for us, right? There is a very popular Bible verse that we have all heard, whether you know it directly or you've heard it through social media or whatever the case, or in church, or you've read it in the Bible, and that's Philippians 4:13. And it's the Bible verse that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, right? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But what I've discovered about myself is that I have this ongoing battle with my mind, where my biggest roadblock or obstacle is that I look at my biological clock more than my divine one. I look at what my reality tells me more than I'll look at what God and His timing actually may look like for me, or trusting in the fact that the divine timing ultimately outweighs my biological one, no matter what my mind or my reality might tell me or show me, right? So to be honest, I never really liked the ideology that all the things that I wanted to do or all the things that I desired to do, I could do because God, would strengthen me. Because in my mind, it felt extremely impossible to really, truly be capable of doing all the things in this lifetime that I wanted to do because of the way that society had warped my idea of time, of the things that I felt like I was capable of doing because of how old I got, or the decisions that I made regarding school, or starting this too late, starting that too late. All of that scared the shit out of me. Okay, it scared me to the point where it was a little debilitating. It gave me a fear that I couldn't do all the things that I wanted to do. How could I, when every year that I get older, that's another 365 days where what I wanted to do, I didn't do. Therefore, I'm pushing myself back. Where you might have told yourself you wanted to be a doctor, but then, lifetime gets ahead of you, gets behind you, and 5 years go past, and now you're 27, 28, and you feel like people that graduated with me in high school are following their dreams. Meanwhile, I'm just now trying to figure it out. That's the type of thoughts that I had in my head when it came to my biological clock, right? One of the things that I'm realizing in terms of divine timing, though, is that your biological clock can lie. Your biological clock can tell you that you're too old or too young to do a certain thing, that time is passing you by, that it's not possible, but divine timing will never lie. The divine timing is based off of the assurance of God. I've never been disappointed when God's divine timing aligned with my reality. I've never. But biological timing left me with a lot more disappointments than I care to admit, right? Than I care to admit now. Because honestly, because of my fear of, biological timing, I have definitely held myself back from doing certain things because I felt like it won't work out because of where I am in my life or what my reality looks like, or I don't have time for that. I don't have time to try to start from the bottom and figure it out. I don't have time to go back to school. I got to make this money. I got to do what I need to do now. Like, time is not on my side. But then when I think about what God has done for me and the things that I have accomplished, and how in no way, shape, or form has the things that I've accomplished lined up with where I thought I should be in my actual reality at all. Like, for instance, I learned how to drive, right? This is a very minuscule example, but I learned how to drive when I was 25, 26. I learned how to drive when I was like 25, 26, right? Very late to me in terms of biological timing. And it was because life, right? Life did what life did. And I found myself in certain situations and circumstances that did not allow me to learn how prior to that age that I turned. So biologically, I felt like I was so behind. I was so behind. But in comparison to what? In comparison to other people in their lives? I have no idea what their lives may look like or what their circumstances were. But in my mind, I was behind. But divine timing told me when I first learned how to drive, I was able to financially purchase a car on my own. I didn't have to go through anybody. I didn't have to ask for permission. I learned at the time that God said you were financially able to do so. That was my divine timing. It was meant for me to do it at that time because the financial freedom that I had in that moment was top tier for me. I use the example of driving, even though it isn't super groundbreaking, but that is something that I always keep with me. Just because the timing of my reality doesn't align with what I feel like or where I feel like I should be doesn't mean that divine timing won't bless me with something that'll make up for any type of timing that I feel like I've lost biologically. It doesn't mean that when God says it's time or when God says it's so, that it won't be as fulfilling as I possibly could have imagined. That's what divine timing is doing for me. So then you have to analyze, you have to really think about like what divine timing is looking like for you. What is it that you feel like you should have done before and now you feel like you've lost the opportunity? What is it that you really feel like my time has passed and there's nothing that I can do about it? I can't afford to do that. I don't have the time to do that. I have kids now. It's not a part of my path anymore. What is that thing for you that you feel like you've lost the opportunity to do so? And then ask yourself, what does divine timing tell you? Does divine timing tell you because you didn't do it at the time that you thought you should have, that means that it's never going to happen? Because as far as I'm concerned, that's not how God works for me. That's not how I work when it comes to my faith. So there may be something that you feel like you're behind on and that you're starting late on, or you feel like it'll never happen to you or happen for you because of the way that life turned out. And I'm here to tell you that divine timing and what God has for you and when He has it for you will never align with what your biological clock tells you. It won't. So The way that I had to start retraining my mind, right? I had to start telling myself that, Jazz, it is okay for you to let go of this perception that things will happen in the time that you think they will. I thought I was going to have a podcast a long time ago. I thought I was going to be nationally syndicated a long time ago. And we're working on it, okay? Wink, wink. But my reality is it wasn't my time. My reality is just because it wasn't my time then when I felt like it was age appropriate for me to start doesn't mean that when divine timing tells me it is my time that I won't flourish. That's not what it means. And I can't sit here and beat myself up over what I feel like should have happened or started at the time that I feel like it should. Because what I'm so proud of is that even when my biological timing or my biological clock did not align with my goals and my dreams, divine timing put me in the position to be emotionally ready, mentally ready to receive that gift or that blessing at the time I was supposed to. Because that's what God does. He allows you to claim a season, a gift, or an opportunity at the time when you are spiritually, emotionally, and mentally ready. And a lot of us don't realize that at the moment that you felt like biologically you should have had it together, there was something that you lacked that didn't allow you that opportunity. And it doesn't mean that because that biological time has passed, that divine timing has too. No. Divine timing allows me to see spiritually what my eyes couldn't physically. It allows me to reap the benefits emotionally of something that I would have never been able to appreciate biologically in the time that I needed to. But then on the flip side, it's like there are some things that we have obtained biologically when society told us it was our time to do so, when we felt like this was when we were supposed to have this thing or supposed to accomplish this, that we did not even get to fully appreciate because divine timing told us it probably wasn't your time at that moment. It probably wasn't your time to have that thing that you went ahead and rushed to do so on your biological clock timing that you probably were not quite ready for. And because of that, you're not able to appreciate what you would have emotionally been prepared and spiritually prepared for if it had been on divine timing. If you would have let it happen in God's timing, on His watch. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's something quite difficult to understand about knowing the difference in playing waymaker over your reality in your life and allowing God to lead and play waymaker over your reality in your life. There's a thin line on you being able to know when you're taking control of your life and you are being, proactive and assertive and going out there and going for your dreams and your goals than you trying to play God. It is hard to differentiate whether or not you're allowing God to lead or if you're taking things into your own hands, if you're taking matters into your own hands, if you're doing things because you have this innate fear of missing your mark. There is a thin line between that. And I've really had to grasp this. And I still struggle with it because there are some things in my life where I feel like, am I doing this because I'm scared that it'll never happen in the timing that I think it should? Or am I doing this because I feel like I'm moving because God told me to move? It's hard, y'all. It is hard. And if anything, the way that I've been able to grapple with this is that I've realized that for me personally, when it comes to me differentiating whether or not I'm moving like a free agent and I'm doing this all on my own, or if I'm being a follower to what God's plan is for me, is I always sit back and first of all, I'm very intentional about the things that I am doing when it comes to following my dreams and my goals. I'm very intentional and I'm very cautious about not moving off of emotion. I'm very cautious about not moving out of fear, and I'm very cautious on not moving out of comparison. I'm very cautious with this because I feel like if you're moving out of any three of those, you're not in alignment with what God has for you and on His timing. You're in alignment of your own timing. So the first thing is to make sure that you're not moving out of fear. You're not moving out of fear of what isn't going to happen. You're not moving out of fear of what goals you may not accomplish, or the things that you feel like you're behind on, that you're not moving out of comparison and looking at what other people got going on, or the things that they're accomplishing, and feeling like you're behind because of what they have going on. And of course, that last thing is being intentional about not moving off of emotion, not moving out of feeling like I'm not doing things because I feel threatened, or doing things because I feel scared, or not doing things because I'm anxious. Or you cannot move off of emotion if it's from God. If God is aligning your purpose with his timing, it won't be easy. Let me just preface this by saying, so nobody misconstrues my words or misinterprets them on purpose. It will never be easy just because it's God's timing, right? Just because it's divine timing doesn't mean that the stars will align and you'll walk a straight and narrow path and you'll know it's God's divine timing versus your own, because everything will be smooth. I hate that ideology, because nothing that God ever does for us, nothing that he ever positions us in place for, will come easy. It can't. Literally, diamonds are made under pressure. And that's corny as hell. But hear me out when I say it won't be easy, but you'll be fulfilled. It won't feel as though you're putting in all this work and it's hard, but you feel no purpose. You're going to feel fulfilled. You're going to feel purpose, and you're going to feel connected. I know that it's God's divine timing for me, because I feel fulfilled when I'm doing the things that I feel like God has called me to do at that moment. I feel fulfilled, and I feel like I'm doing the purpose that I feel purposeful. I feel like I'm making a difference in whatever capacity that may be. Whether you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, you want to be a content creator, you feel purposeful. You feel like you're making a difference in whatever that avenue is for you. And then you will also feel connected. You will feel connected to the spirit. You will feel connected to God. You will feel connected to the people around. You'll feel connected. That's how I know that it's God's timing versus my own. Because when it's your own timing, the only thing that it actually fulfills in that moment, and this is to an extent, is yourself. When it's on your own timing, it comes from a selfish tendency mindset. I can't speak for everybody. I won't. But I know that when I've done things because I wanted to do them, one, this is how I knew when it was my timing, right? One, it felt rushed. It felt like I was being impulsive. It felt like I was making a decision based off of emotion. It felt like I was either anxious or scared, or it felt like that. And don't get me wrong, that's not the only example, because there are some things that God will tell you to do where in that moment it just seems like he's saying, move, go. And you'll be scared. Those are moments when it's divine timing, but you're scared to do it, but God told you to do it. That's different. What I'm saying is, I knew it was my timing because I did not hear God. I heard me. I heard what I wanted. Whether the things that I wanted stemmed from a place of self-pleasure or not, I did not hear God in any capacity. I was trying to either make myself feel good, make the company that I kept around me feel good, but whatever the case, God was never at the forefront of my mind in any capacity when it was on Jasmine's timing. Or I was trying to convince God he was backing me on stuff that would only benefit me. It didn't benefit him. It didn't benefit the betterment of my purpose. It didn't. It was all for self-pleasure. And not to say that you cannot talk to God about things that brings you joy and brings you pleasure. But if it don't have no rhyme, no reason to it, baby, you know that ain't God's time. You know that's not on his clock. And if it will eventually be on his clock, that's neither here nor there. You'll find that out in his timing, right? But that's how I knew that it was on mine. And you really have to give yourself a reality check. You really have to check yourself. Like, hold on. You know how many times I had to check? Hold on. Let's be for real. Let's be real serious right now, Jazz. Why you want this? And if you have to say, I don't know, I just feel like, is this God or is it you? Like, is it really God? Because if you don't know and you just feel like I don't know how many things that I thought I wanted, it was all based on how I felt. Because I just feel like it'll make me feel good. I just feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And like I said, That could be the case. But if you don't feel fulfilled, if you don't feel connected, if you don't feel purpose, reevaluate it again. So I want to close this out just by posing the question, what is it that you have been telling yourself is bad timing, or you've missed your mark, or it's no longer possible for you? That really was biological timing. That really was your timing versus divine timing, and you talking to God and letting it be a matter of when he thinks it's time. I also pose the question, what is it that you have been pursuing, trying to achieve that's on your timing versus divine timing? What is it, friend? As always, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Her Revision, for listening to it on audio from Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I love you guys so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube video. Don't forget to rate the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And follow me on the Her Revision podcast page on Instagram. It is at Her Revision Podcast. Until next time, love you guys. Bye.